in my clock, I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols. Reaming my body, clothing no issue. Bitch, you look sick, you need a tissue. You drop a body, I just might bless you. I'm metrosexual.
Yo, what is going on, everyone? It's Wraith here, back with another video. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be going over some squad tips that you and your squad can use to win more games, win more competitive tournaments, and win more scrims, etc., etc. So basically, after the FNCS final, after the very final game, Fortnite's announcers announced that the next big tournament for FNCS was actually going to be squads. So if you guys don't know, I recommend already trying your best to find the squad. If you don't have anyone, I recommend looking on Discord. You can join certain leagues for wherever you're from. For example, if you're EU, just look up Discords for EU on Fortnite, blah blah blah. Same with NA East, Fortnite Discord servers, and you'll find a couple. For NA West, I recommend Mayhem or All Stars. Those are probably the two best. But yeah, if you're looking forward to this video and looking forward to the tips, make sure you slap that like button, comment what you want to see for a future video. Make sure you use the creator code WraithFN in the item shop, and let's get right into the video. So the first tip is a pretty obvious one, but it's finding a landing spot that works for you guys. Now honestly, in squads, it's going to be pretty difficult to find a good spot that not one team goes, or even only one team goes, because a lot of places that you could maybe land in solos or duos is definitely not going to have enough loot for an entire squad. So I feel like it's going to be way more off spawn battles, because a lot of squads are going to have to land at POIs or places such as Lucky or factories or whatever like that, just because there won't be enough loot if you just land houses outside of somewhere, etc., etc. So it's definitely going to be very interesting to see how many spawn fights there are. And going into spawn fights, it's very, very important that when you're a squad and you land, you make sure that you land together. Unless there's not another team there, then it's fine if you separate. But for example, the big mistake that Mongrel and Benji's and Mitro as a trio made in the FNCS final was that they landed together, and then after they started looting, they separated, and they just kept getting picked off in the last couple games, which resulted in them losing off spawn 2 games in a row. Yes, there was a mech that ended up killing Benji, and then Benji, I'm pretty sure, died again because he was distracted by a mech, but they weren't sticking together in the first place, which allowed other teams to come in and kill them. So it's very, very important that once you find a landing spot, you guys learn where everything is, but you make sure you stick together. Now this next tip is making sure that you're learning to fight as a team. And basically the best way you can do that is just practicing, whether it's squad arenas when that comes out, whether it's playing customs, whatever it is, just learning how to play together, learning your guys' comms, and make sure that you learn kind of fight maneuvers that you can do. For example, split pushes, so you can have 2 guys go one way, 2 guys go the other way, so the squad kind of feels engulfed and taken because there's 2 guys in different directions. Or you can have 1 guy flank and go to the back, so 3 guys can be taking the storm, or taking all the damage, and then the last guy can just be railing them from behind with L2 or even just the Kovacs in. So it's very, very important to make sure that you guys learn how to fight together, use your comms, and know exactly what your partners are going to do in every scenario. Once you kind of figure out, like you'll see all pros do it, you know what your partner is going to do because you played with them for a while. So you need to get into their head and make sure that you play a lot, so you start to understand how they play without them even needing to tell you. Now this next tip is a big one, and it's have an in-game leader. In trios, it was important to have an IGL, but in squads, I feel like it's going to be even more important. Basically, if you have 4 people just yelling, let's land here, or go here, or let's not push this, or there's height, blah, 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 it's not going to do very good. It's going to be scrambly, it's not going to work very well, and it's just bad comms, which again, I'll talk about in the future. But basically, if you have one IGL who's probably the smartest out of all 4, make sure he makes all the comms, and it just makes it way more smooth. It makes it way more clear what to do in each scenario, where to land, etc., etc. Now, I'm not saying that IGL needs to make every single call. he can still, other people can still make calls 100%, but I'm just saying at the end game and in tight scenarios, I feel like there should be one person who, again, is probably the smartest out of the squad, who is making most of the calls, which will allow your squad to do better overall.
Are you sure you don't need slots? Like, you don't
Now, I said I'd talk about this later, but comms is so important. I'll talk about two separate comms. One is just comms in general, and then one is comms during fight. So the first one is you and your teammates should always be communicating the entire match, figuring out how much mats you guys have. Like, make sure someone's not at 100 wood, 100 brick, 100 metal, while everyone else is at 400. Make sure you guys know what mats you have, who has shield, who has white health, blah, blah, blah. Like, for example, one guy might have 2 big pots and 6 minis. One guy might have 6 chug splashes. One guy might have 3 med kits, etc., etc. Another super important thing is if you get knocked, make sure you still have good comms, because I know some people, when they get knocked, they just go on their phone or they'll just watch the game and kind of spectate. But if you get knocked, you should be able to have better comms, because you can watch all 3 players in the scenario, or even if 2's left, you can watch 2 people and kind of see what the other person can and call out where they should go. If one person needs more mats, for, say, for example, if your partner is Tfue, just say, hey Tfue, drop more mats for blah blah blah, right? Just make it a little bit easier. So if you're knocked, your job becomes even more important, and you should always be marking next zone in the end game, etc., etc. Just because you're knocked, like I said, doesn't mean you can just take it off. It means your job is even more important. So now next is comms during fight, and these are very hard to get good at. Even some trios, even the top don't even have that great comms trios like end games. But it's very important to have good comms, especially, like I said, with squads. It's going to be a different beast altogether because there's 4 of you. So it's very important to know, like, certain things. So for example, where are the enemies? Like, are you fighting one guy off to the side? Is there third parties coming in? Who's on height? Like, can you take height? Where the storm is, etc., etc. Like, it's super important to always be calm during fights. Or you can even say, for example, like, I'm low, or this one guy's trying to box fight me, or he's in my box, or I'm on height so you guys can get up to me, etc., etc., right? It's very important to make sure during fights that you guys are having calm, like CALM comms. It's very important that you guys have calm communication, because if you're just yelling into the mic, no one's going to be able to focus, no one's going to be able to understand what you're saying if you're just like, guys on me, right? Like, that's not really like that clear. You don't really know. Like, for example, people like Mongrel, Benji, and Mitro, or like those EU guys, are a little bit different because they're so good and they kind of understand how each other comms, so it makes sense. But for a lot of people, if you're not that mechanically gifted and not that intelligent, you're gonna have to have very clean comms, very calm communicated comms, because basically, like I said, if you're yelling or just saying stupid things that aren't even worth it in the fight, just be like, oh yeah boys, like, I don't know, we gotta rotate end game this way or whatever during a fight. Like, that's not helping anyone, right? Just the main things I would say to focus on during a fight to make sure you tell your teammates is, 1, if you hit anyone, if you get hit, where height is, if you can take height, and if storm's coming. Those are probably the 4 biggest things I would say. And if third parties are coming, I would say those are the biggest things that you as a person and as a squad need to be communicating about. Again, don't say just useless things that aren't going to help anyone, but make sure that when you say something that's useful, you don't just yell it on the mic, because everyone else is going to be talking as well, that you just say something very specific, like, he's white, I hit him for 130, right? Obviously you're going to be a little bit more excited and try and probably yell a little bit more, but just try and keep as calm as possible. Now, my last tip, and this is probably, I would say, one of the most important things to do, is stick together. Now, I kind of talked about this when you guys are off spawn, because you can get absolutely destroyed, but not just off spawn. This is mid game and especially end game. Mid game, if you have 2 people who are in fatal fields and the other 2 people are just at the bridge outside of with like shifty shafts almost, I guess that would be the closest place. If you're super separated and a full squad pushes you, it's going to be super annoying, or the other duo is going to have to use mobility to get back to you guys, or 2 fatal fields or whatever. So it's very, very important that you guys stick together as not to get kind of split pushed, because if it's a 4v2 or even a 4v3, you guys are at a huge disadvantage. Well, worst case scenario, if one of your guys is lagging really far behind and he gets pushed, then it's a 4v1 and he's basically dead, and then you guys just lost. Maybe that guy was holding all your launch pads or impulses, or even you just lose one guy, which narrows your odds. And again, same thing goes for endgame. Make sure that one guy isn't height, one dude isn't middle, and then 2 guys low, right? Try your best. Obviously, it's endgame, it gets scuffed, and you don't always control it, but try your best to make sure that you guys have everyone mid ground, or everyone low ground, or everyone high ground, and you stick together, which will allow you guys to do the best as possible. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you slap a like button, comment what you want to see for a future video, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you guys are using creator code WraithFN in the item shop, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Have a good one, everyone. Peace.